So your 8.1.1 part of the standard is to be able to ask a testable question, and also to be able to identify your different variables, dependent, independent, and control. The concepts here are pretty clear, pretty simple. Sometimes scientists just like to explore, but then that exploration leads them to making observations that they can put into real testable questions so that they can perform an experiment and find patterns in things. So to answer the questions, they carry out investigations using the scientific method, where we have question, research, hypothesis, testing, analyzing, drawing conclusions. So there it is. The part that we need to focus on right now is a testable question. What does it mean to have a testable versus a non-testable question? When we have a testable one, then we can form a good hypothesis, then we can design an experiment, and we have our variables after that time, and we can draw our conclusions. So what does testable mean? Real quick. Testable question is one that can be answered by designing an experiment. If you can't design an experiment around it, obviously it's not testable. So, testable questions are always about changing one thing to see what the effect is on another thing. That's the essence of what a test means. So, a sample. Does changing the height of the ramp in this case, with our cars here going down the ramp, does changing the height of the ramp affect the speed of the car going down the ramp? Very testable. Very clear because it's just changing one thing. So the formats that we've used in science fair and that you might see on an ESA test are: does changing blank affect blank? How does changing blank affect blank? Or if I change blank, will it affect blank? We've seen this before. So in the scientific experiment, these two blanks end up being your variables, which I know that you remember. A variable is something that can change. There are, in the questions that we have, an independent variable, which the tester changes, and a dependent variable, which the tester measures. And there is a cause and effect relationship between these two. The cause is the independent variable, the effect is the dependent variable. So the independent variable is the one that gets changed by the scientist. A good experiment has one independent variable, and usually only one. If you change more than one thing at a time, then it's hard to tell which one was causing the result that you see. So the dependent variable then is the one that you measure after you do or as you're doing the experiment. It's the response to the change that you made using the independent variable. So we stick our variables into these blanks. Does changing independent variable affect the dependent variable? And you do the same thing in each of those formats. It's the same. So an example, does changing the height of the ramp affect the speed of the car going down the ramp? Well, we can look at our variables in this context. Where's the independent variable? The height of the ramp is the independent variable because that is what the tester is changing. And what we measure, the dependent variable, is the speed of the car going down. Another example, does changing the amount of light affect the growth rate of plants? The independent variable, take a moment, think about it, pause the video here if you need. The dependent variable, here's your answer. Whoops. The independent variable then would be the amount of light on each plant. Dependent variable is going to be how fast each one of them grows. Okay, same thing. Does the temperature of the water affect the time it takes a sugar cube to dissolve? Independent variable? Dependent variable? Here's the answer. The independent variable is the temperature of the water. The dependent variable is the time it took the sugar cube to dissolve. All right, so you have two parts in your testable questions, the dependent variable and the independent variable. And if you don't see these things in there, or if you can't quickly tell what it would be, then it's not going to probably be a testable question. Okay, so that's the gist of it, and hopefully this helps you a little bit out on this part of the NESA test. Thank you.